everybody. It's Mary Gardner, the Charisma Coach. I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're talking about how to start a successful meeting. Now, meetings are really important because we're all doing them on Zoom so much. And it's important that you, as the leader or whoever is presenting, show up and get to entertain these guys a little bit. After all, you are competing with YouTube, Audible, podcasts, and people know what a good presenter is. And so if you're asking yourself, am I boring? Well, I got news for you. You probably are. And if you look in the mirror and you are boring yourself, you're probably boring other people. So I've got some amazing tips for you today. But first, let me ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever showed up at meetings and you have an agenda and you just jump right in? Is that you? When you're presenting for your company, have you practiced your opening? That's something interesting. You know that anchors, TV anchors, when you see them flawlessly on TV, that when you see them before they go on stage, they are reading out loud their script over and over and over so they don't mess up, and they make it look so easy. So that's a good tip for us. And third, has anyone ever come up to you afterwards and like, oh my gosh, I really loved what you did and what you said? If they don't, then why not strive for that? Inspirational leaders are what people want, and inspirational leaders are great communicators. So this is a really important thing for you to work on. So I want to give you a couple of really good tips for you to start your meetings with a bang, get everybody excited, and get them moving and all on the same page. All right, the best stories are personal stories. And I always look at people like Les Brown and very big motivational speakers who've been out there for a lot of years, and they start with a bang. And if you look on TED Talks, those personal stories are so key. And it doesn't have to be that you went on a hike in the mountains or whatever. It can be going to the grocery store and having an experience with a person. But my tip for you here is to start taking notice of those stories. And what, basically write them down. And I know that Ronald Reagan was said to always carry around note cards, even till the dying days. They found note cards in his desk and all over. He'd write down stories, he'd rehearse them, he'd practice them, jokes, stories, metaphors. So he always had something ready. And I know that Les Brown, who is a phenomenal speaker, and I know that when he started, he memorized 400 stories, metaphors, and stats, things that would be of interest to people. You don't have to memorize, but you have to tell personal stories. It makes it authentic to your audience, and people will feel more alive when they hear your personal stories. The next tip is to make sure your stories have a point. We all have stories, but sometimes you're like, get to the point. What does that mean? Like what relevance does it have to this meeting? So make sure that you have a point with your stories. And if you're trying to make a story fit into a point, like say, for instance, you're asking your team to the next 2 weeks, we're really going to have to buckle down. We're going to have to spend a lot of time working together. You're going to have to tell your spouses or your significant other that you're going to be late. And we're going to bring in pizzas. Well, go and get a big heroic story from NASA or something of a team that came together and pulled off her miraculous feat or something like that. So people want to be inspired, and you can find stories on the internet, lots of books. One of my favorite authors is Pat Williams. He's got like 80 books and he tells amazing stories. Another one is Edgy by Dan Waldschmidt. He's a client of mine, phenomenal book with awesome stories. And he's got a really good blog too that will help you out. All right, then I want you to practice. Third tip, practice, practice, practice. And again, going back to that boring thing, if you feel that maybe you're a little dull, then practice. You could go and take the dictionary and make it sound interesting. And if you want to do it like you're trying to be secretive, be quiet. If you're trying to, you can whisper, or you can have a boom voice, but bring energy to it. Really practice, put your heart and soul into that story. I have a client that started doing this for about 6 weeks. We did a project together where we looked at relatable stories stories that were going to be important for his team, and it dramatically changed his meetings. And what happened was people started saying, "Oh my gosh, I love that story." They started showing up more, and then they wanted to participate more and bring their own stories. So miraculous things happened when he really put emphasis in and tried to help his stories. So if you have any questions, I'd love to chat with you about it more. And storytelling is an art, don't forget it, but practice does make you better. It makes you more comfortable with it. And I'd like to invite you to request some information. We've got a boot camp coming up to help you speakers become phenomenal on stage, on Zoom, in person, and virtual. And if you have any questions, message me. And I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for listening.